knows. The sound emitted by me standing and looking at you, every time I double the distance, I multiply 4 times weakness of the sound, if I recall that correctly. I didn't say it in math terms. But the point is, it's not just half the sound, it's a quarter of that sound. So you get much further away, you're not going to hear a thing. So what do good teachers do? We always grade them on a good presentation like me. Notice I'm looking right at you all. But a good presenter in the classroom talks to these students, and then talks to these students, and make sure they're looking around, right? But when I turn like this, I've cut that volume for that student 20 feet away again by 4. So the issue I'm trying to make is that how we've taught and the implications of sound are beginning to be clearly a relationship to the learning process. I did one quick study where I found that grades were distributed on where the students sat in the science lab. If you sat here, you ended up tending to get lower grade. Even good kids got a lower grade because they couldn't see and hear the TV. The teacher was walking around in front, doing good education left and right, but the room was poorly configured. So there is a correlation between the two. I've tried my best to start to document it in effective ways, as have others. Is that rain? Whoa. Let's talk about right size and the prototype. What do we need? We need to have a standard that can be applied equitably to all schools. I've talked about this. So you have to right size based on the enrollment of the school, the grade configuration that's appropriate in terms of size and location. You need to understand the existing size and shape of that building to apply the prototype to it, and then you determine the school's capacity. That school by school by school. You build the plan from the bottom up. And when you do it right, you should be able to afford those other programs, math, science, special needs, special education, and the like. So why did I become an educational facility planner? I told you one reason. I wanted schools that served education better. But I didn't tell you that at the same time I was teaching middle school, I was selling real estate. And I honestly made more money back then selling real estate than I did teaching school. And I learned one thing, and it became my doctoral dissertation. Good quality schools directly make quality communities and raise real estate values and stabilize employment. People move to the community where their child will get a good education while they're working. I know that. I've studied it, and my dissertation was on that. I saw a community in a big urban center where I did my research. They deliberately wanted to build a company. They wanted to put a General Motors plant right in this community that had been established for years and stable for years. Do you know how they managed to do it? They underfunded the school facilities. And in a short amount of time, the houses weren't as well kept, other things started to happen, and they bought that area at a good price. The reverse of that is equally true. You do it right, and the economy is advanced. So I want to share some concepts in my closing. Concept 1. Quality schools stabilize and grow the community economy and the businesses in it. That's been the whole reason I've been in this business. In addition to the fact I love education, of course. Small learning communities personalize learning and allow larger, right-sized, affordable schools. You can do both. It's not either or. Facility planning process must focus on people and buildings for the future. I learned a long time ago it's easy to get the building right. It's not easy to get facilities that people buy into emotionally and make that financial commitment to pass a bond referendum. Less is more. I found many more schools of the future are simpler and even are using space more effectively because of laptops, because of this and that and the other thing. So the point is, when you properly correct your balance, you can start saving some serious money and applying it to your program elsewhere. I like this one, and I think it's true. 90% of the schools of the future are already built. They're out there. You're not going to tear them down and build them all new. You're not going to go buy a house, 3 bedrooms, and say, I'm tired of this one, I'll go build that 4-bedroom house now. If you can't do it personally, as I started this real estate relationship, you're not going to do it to your educational facilities. You can't afford it. Poor facility management steals money needed for quality education. And trust me, that's happening in maintenance costs. You're chasing chasing the tail of the dog, or the dog's wagging something or whatever, with regard to roofing, plumbing, the heater and boilers, electrical service, et cetera, because it's not comprehensively assessed. Now, I learned a long time ago these issues are frightening. I know that you're saying, wow, can we do it? I believe so. Is it frightening? Of course. That's because you don't have a clear solution outlined that you can follow and understand. A master plan builds on logic and reduces fear. That's why it's so essential. So in summarizing, I've been to your existing facilities, not nearly enough, but you need to understand them thoroughly and invite community members to go through them and confirm what they see. Consider trends. I've given you a few. You need many, many more, I'd suggest. Build a prototype, something to act as your standard for applying to every single school, new and remodeled, or closing. If it doesn't make muster, that's a clear way of having an objective tool to come to that decision. Expansion and consolidation of maintenance dollars. The cost implication should be identified school by school in a normal way, not a fancy accounting spreadsheet thing. Needs to be in human terms, I suggest. And then implement your program in phasing so that you can now, why is that important? Let's take that science example, and I'm going to finish with this thought. If you take that science classroom times 3 high schools times, let's say, 4 science rooms per high school, I don't know the answer to that, let's say it's 10. You've upgraded and clearly defined the need. You could bid that as a small bid package to be done in 90 days. You could have your people in the community, some of the people who might need that work, working on a low vendor project instead of building that house right now. They're putting science labs in. You can phase parts of this project in a way that immediately provides stimulus funding to your local community. I have an article out on that, so I encourage you, go to my website, franklinhill.com. You can read some web articles on this topic. I encourage you to do so. The one that just came out is exactly that, how you can impact your local community and stimulus financing. And then implement and phasing, but the most important vital issue, it needs to be educationally valid for the St. Joseph community. And I believe that is the ultimate opportunity for success. So in the people process, you create your team like you're doing now. You plan for the future and understand what that future is. You create your vision, but in practical facility terms. You understand your existing buildings to know which ones you keep, which ones you remodel, where you build new, and why. Build that master plan and price it. Then follow it. I've seen many examples where it's been incredibly successful. There you go. I want to thank you for the chance to present to you, and we'll go on with the next step in this workshop. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I want to thank Dr. Hill for being here, and thank all of you for being here. And now I'll introduce the small group work activity, and you'll have about 40 minutes then to work as a group on that topic. Each group should select a recorder and spokesperson. The recorder is responsible for completing the information requested on the worksheet located in the center of the table. In the upper right-hand corner is an information box, and you might see that your table number is already filled in there. If your table represents a school, if you would also put that information on the paper, we would appreciate that. The spokesperson should facilitate discussions, keep the group focused and on task so the work is completed in the allotted time, and report the group's information if time permits. We are asking that staff members at the table allow our parents and community members to volunteer for the recorder and spokesperson roles. Please make sure the information recorded on the group's worksheet